We can be heroes just for the day. We can be heroes. Haley, hey. Just checking my angle here. And we're live. Okay, this is my first time doing this for anyone who's already here, and I totally know the way. I might get really distracted throughout the whole time looking at who's watching me, which is a justified reaction. Welcome. Thanks for coming. Hey Casey. This is a little less gangly and awkward of an experience than I thought, because I've set myself up pretty well with a fresh cup of coffee and fresh water. I'm here to hopefully try and interact with most of you through communication, or so you can see my face, and a good opportunity to teach you the song Heroes that I put on my Instagram last week sometime. Did a little cover. It's not exactly like how the song goes, but I'm going to teach it the way it was. If you're just joining, take a chance. If you've got a guitar on your lap, you might just be tuning in to watch me fail, or because you're bored. If you've got a guitar on your lap, make sure it's tuned, and I'll give you a sec to do that while you're setting up. Hello everyone. I hope you can all hear me alright. If you can't, be sure to say something. I can move closer to the phone, whatever. This guitar is a guitar from the Music Gym. It's a Taylor. Taylor probably make the best acoustic guitars, I think. We have a huge range of Taylors at the Music Gym when we're normally in class that new students get to play on, and us as instructors get to play on every day that we're teaching, which is a pleasure. I'm lucky enough to be taking good possession of one right now, taking good care of one for the time being. Okay, while you still may be tuning your guitars, if you have a guitar on your lap, I'm going to quickly play this song for you, just so you have a sort of guide about how it sounds. I might do a bit of singing as well, so you just know the structure, where the verses are, and whatever, and then I'll talk about it real quick, and then we can get into it. Yeah, just to reiterate, while I'm doing this, if you have an opportunity to tune your guitar, if you haven't already, do that if you've got a guitar on your lap. Otherwise, enjoy. Cool, that's it. Obviously I have no idea what your abilities are. This might be a little strange to teach at, because I've never really taught in a non-interactive experience before where I've seen your faces or seen you play guitar, but at this point I'm just speaking to the void in my studio, so we'll see how it goes. But I'll try and tailor what I'm teaching or playing to whatever your abilities are, try and simplify it or show you the advanced version as well. The song is a really great song. You've probably heard it. If you haven't, put it on your rotation and listen to it. It's a really nice song. It's a really cool song as well because it's kind of just like a verse, and then there's sort of like a tail to the verse, and then it just repeats. There isn't this like conventional structure of verse, chorus, bridge. It's kind of like verse, other part of the verse, and do as many of those verses as you want in the song. I think it's like a 7-minute song in the end. So we're going to sort of split that into 2 parts. I'm going to teach you basically what sort of the milder part of the verse is, and then we'll look at the tail of the verse. The first part of the verse, the I will be king, you will be queen. What I'm playing, and I'm playing it in the right key, but I'll show you a couple of different versions, is I'm playing a D power chord up on the 5th fret here. But with my first finger, sort of barring the top 2 strings, it's kind of like a second inversion of a D, but a D power chord, where I'm playing the A as well. So my first finger's on the 5th fret of the 6th string and the 5th string, and then 3rd finger, 4th fingers on the 7th fret, the 4th and 3rd string. And that's sort of it, and I'm using, I guess, the rest of my first finger, where I'm not really barring my first finger, just to mute the bottom 2 strings, so that you've only got 4 strings being played. It's sort of like a trick I do all the time, whenever you're playing a power chord, or even if it's just like a bar chord, a standard major or minor bar chord that's on the 5th fret, sorry, on the 5th string, just sort of put that second inversion on. I find it works really well all the time. So that's what I'm doing. You can do that as well down here with the open D chord, which some of you might not know this power chord or how to do a bar chord or anything like that. You're not up to that level. You can sort of do that as well by just having the D chord, and normally with the D chord you play from the 4th string down, but if you just include the 5th string as well, you'll have the same effect. It's pretty much the same thing. The only difference being that with the open D, you've got the 3rd in there, so there's an extra note, but all of these things are inconsequential, I guess. If you just played the D as well without that A string or that second inversion, it would sound pretty much the same. It's not going to be that different. So the chord progression, D or D second inversion, if you want to do it like that, down to G. I sort of play the open G. I kind of never play this, like beginner spoon-fed G that you see in books. I normally always do my Gs without a first finger, without a 5th string, and without a 1st string where you're using your 4th finger. And I just have 2 fingers, 2nd finger, 3rd finger on the 3rd frets, and sort of mute maybe the 5th string. That's what I'm doing, and then letting everything else be open. Just leaves out the 3rds and stuff like that. Just simplifies it to just being 1st and 5ths of the chord. So we can have D, whether you're playing like this, or with the 5th string, and G, like that. You can do the natural, full, beginner G if you want. It's not going to make that much of a difference. Also, when I'm strumming this, I'm mostly just doing down strums, but I'm palm muting most of the time. Maybe later in the song when it opens up a little bit more, you maybe turn into actually not palm muting and strumming the whole of the guitar. But starting with just down strums, palm muting. Oh, and the beat is kind of going bump, bump, rest, bump, 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 rest, bump, bump, rest, bump, 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 rest, bump, bump, rest, bump, 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 rest. So you'll go down, down, stop, down, 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 stop. You might want to practice that slow if you're sort of not used to it. Start really slow and just go. But we do 2 of them, then we move to the G, do the same thing. So another one to the G. That's basically what the verse is, or the first part of the verse, the simple part of the verse that I was mentioning. If you're a little bit more advanced and you can do the power chord version, it opens you up this opportunity to be able to do the bass line as well. So you can play the bass line as well as just the chords. The bass line sort of goes D, D, B, A, D, D, B, A. It kind of sounds like this. Or something, some sort of that inversion. And if you're doing the power chord like this, the second inversion power chord, you've got this free 2nd finger to hit the B on the 6th string, on the 7th fret, and then release it again to get the A down here. So you have D, 5th string, B, 6th string, 7th fret, and A, 5th fret, 6th string. And you can sort of incorporate that, so it sounds like this. Then I just forget about it for the G. There is a bass line that sort of goes, but I just don't worry about it. One thing that should be said about it is that the fact that it's all just sort of one verse and it just repeats itself like 5 times or 6 times or something in the whole song, you got to try and make some sort of dynamic difference between the main part of the verse and where the verse is leading, or what you're going to deem as the climax of the verse. You get to stylistically choose what you want the climax to be if it can work out that way, but I think the climax is the later part. We can be heroes. So it's pretty important to palm mute this part, or do something that makes it dynamically milder in some way. So I'm palm muting it. Also, not doing that bass line every time, just every now and then doing the bass line. Okay, I think it does 2 instances of that, 2 rotations of that. Then we go into sort of what I'm going to call the tail part of the verse. We hit the C chord after all that. So we've just landed on the G the second time. I'm going to hit the C chord, and I just do the standard open C chord. Probably the first time where you get to sort of open up the guitar and don't palm mute anymore, because it's a nice open chord and you're using a lot of the strings. It's just a nice one to hit all the strings and they're nice and open, they're shimmering. So we're going. And then I hit the D. Okay, so we got 1 or 2 bars, or 1 measure at least of C. Okay, and then something I also always do, I think I've shown a few of you in the class as well, whenever you want to go from a C to a D, and you go in C major to D major, it's quite nice just to move this exact shape up 2 frets and leave what was open in the C still open in the D. It'll still work in the key, and it kind of sounds nice. It's like you haven't completely changed the arrangement of all the notes, so it really just sounds like it's moved up. That's why it's nice to go from the C to the D with it. So I'm just taking the C, moving it up 2 frets, so that my 3rd finger is leading from the 5th fret down. And I sort of changed the strumming pattern there, so I'm no longer doing all down strums. I don't think I do this every time, but it's nice to sort of then start doing down and ups, where you're going down, up, up, down, up, down, up, down, down, up. Okay, I keep that up, and we got 2 other chords. We go to the A minor, it's just 1 instance of that. C to D, down to the A minor. Classic A minor. Remember to mute that 6th string. The reason it's pretty important to mute that is because the next chord is the E minor, and you need the E to really be dropped on it. Like, you haven't heard the E pitch or the E string, the E note before, and it gets dropped when you go to the E minor. So we're going A minor, E minor. And they're half measures, so we got C, where it's, you can sort of think of it as a full measure. The D, then half measure of A minor, E minor, and then back to D, however you were playing it, maybe up here as I was playing it, or if you just want to go back to here. At that point, maybe just because you did the D with the palm mute before, it's kind of nice to recede back to the palm mute just to go back to that D, and it lowers things down again so that we can hit the "we can be heroes" a little bit more dramatically. So let's see, I'm going to go from the C and all the way to the D. Again, if you're playing D down here, it's not going to matter that much, but really try and palm mute it, or not fully palm mute it. You don't want to make it a huge dramatic difference where it's just completely closed off, but to some degree it's got to be a little bit more milder. Okay, let me play through that part. So 2 measures of D to G, D to G. G. And you will be queen. To C, open up a little bit.